What's going on, YouTube? So the GMC Acadia has long been a premium option in the very competitive midsize 3-row segment, which is why we were excited to live with this model for a full week, especially this fully loaded Denali Ultimate, to see what it's like day to day. So is this one of the top options, especially if you want a lot of luxury to spoil you? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, let's kick things off with a quick spec dump. So under the hood of all the Acadias, you'll find a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making 328 horsepower. It's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, our combined fuel economy is 21 mpg.
Now, the base price of the Acadia is $44,000 this year, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, this, of course, is a real-world 7-day review, so we have some elements to share, such as our experienced fuel economy, as well as our Kentucky sound level reading.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can get into the exterior as well as the inside. Now, of course, when we're talking about a mid-size family SUV, many of them are very basic in their overall appearance, but GMC really wanted to kind of elevate this overall design, especially when we're talking about the Denali Ultimate. So up in the front, you're going to notice that signature GMC grille, but we've got that special finish, which is a darkened chrome for our Denali Ultimate, and the badging here is also finished in that same scheme. It does indeed give it an elevated design. Down at the bottom, you have a gloss black finish as well. And then as we go over here to our headlights, you can see a very premium look as well. This is a full LED, it's a projector LED. You've got that signature bracket-shaped daytime running light and turn signal indicator, plus it also has that nice fading effect here on our top end example. Down here at the bottom, you'll additionally have LED fog lamps. As we move around to the back, it continues with a pretty classy look and a little bit of sportiness as well.
Yeah, so this middle piece is always going to be blacked out, giving you that little bit of sporty element. However, Denali is very prominent across the back. You're not going to mistake it for anything else. We have a spoiler and a wiper as well. Let's take a look at our taillights. So our taillights are going to be fully LED. That's across the Acadia lineup. That includes your brake light, your turn signal, which is also dynamic, as well as a reverse light. As we drop down to the lower fascia, we actually have quad exhaust outlets, which is pretty cool for this segment, and it can tow 5,000 pounds.
Next up, let's talk about the wheels. This Acadia in general has a lot of different choices and has some big options, some 22-inch options. Of course, the Denali Ultimate will be one of the models that comes with the 22. It has a special design which is very detailed and technical in its overall execution and reminds me a lot of what you get on the bigger GMC Yukon. Now, of course, you have all body color finishes around your wheel arches, and up here at our mirrors, these are fully loaded with all the features, including auto dimming on the driver's side and power folding.
Now at this side, you may be able to tell that this Acadia is really big for this new generation. It's 204 inches in length, which for this segment really makes it the largest option that you can get. It's even bigger than things like the Toyota Grand Highlander. As far as design touches, you have a little bit of chrome accenting, the roof rails up here at the top. And let's talk about your safety systems. This is a family SUV, and as such, you get all of your active safety features as standard equipment. That includes things like adaptive cruise control. Furthermore, you also have Super Cruise, and that's available on most of the trim levels for around $3,000. However, it's standard on the Denali Ultimate, and throughout the past week, we've used that system. It's worked flawlessly, and I think that's a pretty good option to pick, especially for a vehicle you'll probably be doing a lot of road trips in. But guys, I think the interior is super beautiful, so let's go ahead and dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, let's move to the inside next, but first we got to look at our key fob. It's the typical GMC key fob. You have standard smart entry and remote start on all trims. Getting inside, there's no sensor behind the handle, so just press the button right there and that will unlock the door and fold the mirror outward. And then welcome inside the interior. So this is certainly a cabin that really makes you feel special as soon as you walk up to the vehicle. It also greets you with a animation across the display, and even lights up the ambient lighting in advance. It's a very premium feeling space overall. And honestly, one of the biggest details of that is here at the seats. So choosing the Denali Ultimate elevates you to, of course, the ultimate seat. We have a special perforated leather, and inside of the leather you can see that we've got those carvings. You've probably seen them on other Denali Ultimate products. That is a topographical map of Mount Denali, and then you've got the special badging as well. This is a mahogany brown color. It's exclusive to just this trim, and we also have 12 ways of power adjustment with our 4-way lumbar support. This button will also bring up your massaging ability, which is another thing special to this trim, plus memory seats are over there. Let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, of course, with Ultimate in the name of the trim level, you expect to have a pretty high level of execution with materials, and indeed you will find that. So over here on the door trim, we have a nice leather. It's finished in the same brown and has the cross stitching. You have the same textured leather through there, and beautiful open pore wood on the door trim. That same open pore wood will also be all across the dashboard here, again with more stitching, and then you have the stitching all through there. More of the wood trim covers this entire center section, and then the center console is nicely padded with the brown leather. Everything in here does feel really quite nice to the touch, and I like the real metal speaker grills as well. Let's fire it up with the push button start. Now with it all fired up, we can dive into individual details as well as our impressions about them. We'll start with the gauge cluster. We've got the 10-inch digital gauge cluster. As you can see, you can put several different designs on board, including the full screen map. I was trying to change it there. You've got a lot of different choices on board. We also, of course, have a head-up display, and this is very large as well with good detailed information. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, you've got a very thick-rimmed, leather-wrapped steering wheel. It's got the sensor up at the top because we've got Super Cruise on board, and the steering wheel itself is power, tilt, and telescoping with heating. That's a nice touch for this type of vehicle. And you have a big SUV, so you are looking for a lot of storage, most likely. So let's check that out, starting with the center console. You'll see we've got it loaded down with donuts. That's to do our signature donut test. And inside of here today, we have 20 donuts. So definitely sales past the dozen donuts to pass the test, and it's getting close to the 24 donuts. Then up here, you've got your 2 cup holders. You can slide back this piece of wood. It'll reveal your wireless phone charging pad and a little bit of storage over there. But most of your storage is going to be down here. You can see we've got this huge center pass-through where you could just kind of throw different types of things, and it gives you quite a bit of flexibility. No storage shelf or anything like that, so it's not best in segment, but it is pretty good. Now, as far as the shifter is concerned, we've got a column-mounted shifter up here out of the way. Just pull down for drive, press up for reverse. When you go into reverse, actually every single version of the Acadia will get this 360-degree camera system, not just the Denali Ultimate. Nevertheless, it is pretty nice in its overall execution, and you have several different views you can choose from. Press the end there for park. You also have an electronic parking brake, but no brake hold system. Now, of course, a lot of the functions of this vehicle are going to be focused right in this large display region. We'll start out, though, with some of the things down here at the bottom. So you've got this row of toggles here, and those interact with the actual display. So even though it looks like the climate is just in the display, you do actually have physical controls for it still. It's a 3-zone automatic system, and that's going to be across all of the trim levels. As you can see, you also have automatic heated and ventilated seats, of course, on this top end example. Believe it or not, just a couple days ago, it was actually warm enough. I was using the ventilated seats and enjoying them. They work very, very nicely. And then inside of the display itself, you've got this big ol' volume knob. Now, another special touch for just the Denali Ultimate is the fact that this has the Bose Performance Series sound system. It's got 16 speakers, and let's give that a sample right now. So overall, we were very satisfied with the sound quality of this system. Spent a lot of time listening to a wide variety of music inside of this vehicle, and everything does sound nice and crisp as well as balanced. All right, so let's zero in now on the rest of the display. So like you can see, it is a very large display. It's a 15-inch display with the portrait style orientation. Now, as far as the actual software itself, very similar to other GM vehicles. It's an Android Automotive-based system. So inside of here, you'll find Google built in, as well as the Play Store and things like that. You also have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you can take a look at what that looks like as well. Just kind of pops up in that window and keeps your background in the background. In case you're wondering, you don't have to get the fully loaded example to get this giant 15-inch display. It's standard on all models. And another nice thing that they made standard on all models for 2026 specifically is the digital camera rear view mirror. So that's nice if you're fully loaded and kind of blocking your rear visibility. Slide back the sunshade here for our panoramic sunroof. This is available on most trims. It's standard on just this Denali Ultimate. The shade's a little bit slow, but the front part of this sunroof does open up, and that's a good time for you to look at the Alcantara headliner.
Now, perhaps the best part about the Acadia would be your second, third row, and cargo areas, because it's a very big option for the segment, as I mentioned on the side. Now, let's go ahead and start by talking about the second row space. So what we're looking at is 41.5 inches of legroom, 40 inches of headroom. Those are both very good figures for this segment of vehicle. It's one of the very largest options that you can get. It's similar to something like a Kia Telluride and Hyundai Palisade, and even bigger than things like the Grand Highlander. Now, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler, so you can get a realistic knee room figure. I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and we are looking at 9.5 inches of knee space. That's very good. Also, my feet can slide up underneath of the seats. These seats do have the ability to slide forward and back a pretty decent distance, and they also have the ability to recline a good distance to really maximize your comfort. And the people that we did have ride here in the second row thought it was really nice and comfortable. Now, as far as the seating capacity, what we're looking at right now is a 7-passenger capacity. If you want 8-passenger, you have to choose the elevation trim, because that will get you the bench seat here in the back. Otherwise, you're going to have the captain's chairs, and these captain's chairs are nice and comfortable, but that does, reduce your capacity. Now, as far as features, we have 2 cup holders up here at the top. Down below, we have our own climate adjustments. Heated back seats are included on the Denali trim level. And then as we drop down, we have a household style outlet, 2 USB ports, and then down at the very bottom, even more storage. Now, if you want to take a look at the door trim, you'll find a really nicely done door trim. You have soft touch plastic on the upper part, a nice wood trim through the center section, leather all through the armrest portion, even metal speaker grills, and quite a bit of storage. The only thing I have a gripe with is the fact that you don't have rear window sunshades. That certainly is useful for the family, especially if you have a baby riding here in the back. Let's go ahead and check out the third row. In order to get back here, they made it really simple. You just press that button right there. I guess second time's the charm, and that's going to electronically release the seat. Notice how the seat back does not move, so you would not have to remove a child's seat, so that's pretty family friendly. Now let's go ahead and hop back here into the third row. As far as the third row itself, what we're sitting at is some good numbers. So we're sitting at around 32 inches of legroom and about 38 inches of headroom. Now, this used to be like the biggest option in the segment. However, some of the competitors have kind of snuck up on it. So it's going to be a little bit smaller than things like the Grand Highlander, a little bit smaller than the Hyundai Palisade if you slide the seats all the way back. So overall, a good amount of space, but not quite the biggest. Right now. The other thing I will point out is that the thigh support is a little bit lacking. Now, of course, the seat is slid all the way back, so I could slide it forward a little bit more, but the thigh support, it could be raised a little bit further off the ground. As far as features, we have vents that come out of the ceiling here, so they're nice and close to you. We have a USB port on the sides, as well as cup holders. We're not going to have third row heating or anything like that, so keep that in mind. Overall, as far as how it rates on the third row scale, I'd say this is fit for adults. Now, walking up to the tailgate, we do have a standard hands-free power tailgate across the entire Acadia lineup, and let's talk about the overall cargo capacity. So you're going to be pleasantly surprised with this space for sure. 23 cubic feet behind the third row of seats. If we fold those seats down, that's 57 cubic feet, and as a maximum, you'll have 97 cubic feet of space. Those are fantastic space figures for this vehicle segment, and this is a very competitive segment, so we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com Automotive.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at all the 3-row midsize SUVs that you can buy and ranked them in individual categories, so you can sort the list based on what's most important to you, whether that be the 3rd row, the cargo space, the interior technology, the luxury features, the powertrain experience, or even the value. You can see the best options for you in that segment. So we definitely encourage you, check out our tool at carconfections.com/vehicle rankings to make an informed buying decision. Now back to the Acadia. You have buttons to power fold the seats down, both the 2nd and 3rd row, actually, as a matter of fact. So you can do that very nicely from the cargo area. And now that I've got those seats slid up, you can see it is completely flat with the floor. Let's get our cargo length, width, and height figures. So as far as cargo length, 89 inches is what you can expect behind Drew's 5'8" seating position. From behind the 2nd row of seats, 54 inches. They're not slid all the way back, though, so keep that in mind. Behind the 3rd row, 22 inches. Opening, 50 inches wide. The height, very good, 32 inches. And let's get our load-in height as well. What you can expect is around 31 inches. Now, as far as the underfloor storage, you actually have quite a lot of underfloor storage. I like that fact. And there is also a spare tire on this model, so some of the competitors can kind of eliminate those features. So I'm happy to see both the underfloor and the spare tire. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the GMC Acadia. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, discussing real-world fuel economy this week. But first, we need to start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that was 60 miles per hour with this Acadia. Now, to recap a little bit about what we said at the spec dump, the Acadia, all versions of it, including this Denali Ultimate, come with the 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It makes 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. Now, as far as how that compares to the competition, those are really strong power numbers, actually, especially from, the Turbo 4 side of things. Those are, pretty high numbers, and overall acceleration is pretty quick as well. I think really this engine feels plenty powerful for a vehicle of this size. Now, I already can feel people commenting, right? They're already on the keyboards of their phone or their computer. I would never have something like that and something so big. This vehicle does have a very strained sound to it. We've talked a lot about this with the Acadia as well as the Traverse. The engine itself, when you're accelerating hard, does not sound refined. It sounds strained, but it actually has plenty of power. It's definitely very much an audible thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like throughout living with it this week, like that's kind of the thing that you notice. Like people get in and they're like, oh, well, it must not have enough power. But actually it is pretty quick to 60 miles an hour. It just sounds like it's barely hanging on for life, just like super loud. We've complained about that in the Traverse, this Acadia, of course, and really we were hoping that GM would do something to at least like tone the engine down, maybe some noise amplification, like something to cover up the noise of the engine would be helpful. But yeah, that's really honestly like one of my biggest gripes with this car is how it sounds, because the engine itself is actually pretty peppy.
Right, and even at partial acceleration, it definitely penetrates into the cabin over top of audio as well. So yeah, it's certainly at this price point specifically, when you're talking about, we'll talk about the pricing later on, but this is a pretty expensive vehicle heading into the luxury territory, and it would definitely be appreciated to have more refinement with the engine. Now let's talk about the other element of the powertrain. We've got a 8-speed automatic transmission. Overall, this transmission is fine, as a bird almost runs into the windshield. It's relatively smooth and everything on a day-to-day basis. The gearing's a little bit weird, which I think does contribute to making the engine sound a lot louder because it kind of revs out a lot. But other than that, it is pretty smooth.
Yeah, it's smooth, but a little on the slow side for sure. All right, and we have turned onto our designated strip of road to discuss ride quality. Now, throughout the past week, we've drove it on a lot of different road surfaces, and I have to say, this Acadia has very good ride quality, especially considering the wheel size on the outside. We have the 22, so that's the largest wheel you can get, and I've been impressed. You know, even if you hit large bumps in the road, I think it does a great job of soaking things up. It's not quite, you know, like the most comfortable in the entire segment. I think some of the rivals like the Hyundai Palisade, things like the Honda Pilot are a little bit better than that. However, I will say it is very good. These seats are also quite comfortable, and that's really because this fully loaded example, the Denalis get the frequency-based dampers, so they do tune the suspension differently to kind of compensate for those larger wheels. All right, and we are speeding up to 55 miles per hour, so I'll let the engine calm down there, and then we'll get our sound level reading. We have it on fan speed 1, and the rear climate has been turned off. Very nice. 53.4 decibels is what we are sitting at in this Acadia Denali Ultimate. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to its competition. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And compared to its competition, that certainly is a very good number that puts it in the top options in the segment. It's not quite the quietest that you can get in the segment, but it is going to be very good. And they were quick to point out the Denalis get the acoustic glass, so that's going to, you know, further insulate your cabin as compared to the more basic versions of the Acadia. All right, and power is routed to the ground via the front wheels or all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is standard on the AT4 trim level only, so you do actually have to pay extra for it on the Denali Ultimate. And as far as the fuel economy figures, that's going to be 21 mpg for all-wheel drive or 22 miles per gallon with front-wheel drive. What's our real-world experienced fuel economy this week? Well, we drove it 143 miles, and that was in both mixed city and highway driving. And what we were sitting at was 18 miles per gallon. Now, compared to the EPA number, that is going to be 3 mpg worse. So I have to say I'm pretty disappointed by that figure. And I think we saw that in the Chevy Traverse as well when we had that back here for a week, actually twice. It didn't get very good fuel economy, that's for sure. So unfortunately, the Turbo 4 is not a huge benefit over like a V6 rival, that is for sure.
And since that's not great fuel economy, you'd be buying quite a bit of gas, which is a good reason why you might want to download the Upside app, a free cashback app.
We routinely use Upside to save 10, 20, even 30 cents a gallon on gas in our area. We also use it for groceries and eating out with our family so we can earn more and spend less on things that don't matter to us. It's super convenient and easy to use, and as an added bonus, Upside is offering Car Confections viewers an extra 25 cents off per gallon of gas on your first tank by scanning the QR code on the screen or using Car Confections 25 when you sign up. And of course, let's also get into our Airball and Slam Dunk, our least favorite and favorite element. Drew, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the Slam Dunk for the Acadia?
The Slam Dunk is going to be the overall interior execution. Specifically, the material choices are very upscale, and it certainly spoils you more than the average mid-sized family 3-row, even ones that are, you know, in that $60,000 range.
For sure. Now, on the flip side, the Airball is going to be the engine noise specifically, not necessarily the power, but the noise and the transmission really left us a little bit unsatisfied this week and in past examples that we have tested out. And do we like it better, the same, or worse after living with it this week? I think pretty much everyone here at Car Confections can agree the same for this model. We like the luxury, but of course the engine is something that is holding this model back a little bit, especially if you're comparing to luxury rivals. Now let's talk pricing for the Acadia. So as I said at the beginning, we started around $44,000 for the base elevation trim level, and you can see the full lineup of prices on the screen right now. Of course, the Denalis are going to be quite a bit more expensive, especially this Ultimate model. After destination, we're sitting right around the $67,000 price point, so this is certainly, honestly, competing more on the luxury side than the mainstream segment at that price. Now, it's assembled here in the United States, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you're going to be doing any dealership negotiating. There's also things like a monthly payment tool, so if you'd like to take advantage of all of that, you can find that at our website, carconfections.com/newcarquotes. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's talk about resale, reliability, and the warranty. First up, let's talk about resale value. GMC as a brand is rated at 55.8% of original MSRP, estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.63%. That's actually above industry average for all vehicle brands. However, it is still less than some of the main competitors like Toyota, Honda, or Mazda.
Now let's also talk about reliability. We developed the Combined Reliability Index, and with the latest 2026 data input into it, GMC comes out a little bit below the overall industry average for all vehicle brands.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Now, as far as your warranty, you have a 3-year 36,000-mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000-mile powertrain, and you also get your first complimentary service visit. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth 7-day review of the 2026 GMC Acadia Denali Ultimate. If you enjoyed watching our detailed impressions on this model, we'd appreciate you subscribing down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. I promise you won't want to miss out on all the content we have coming up, and we'd love to welcome you in. If you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.